Well, it's been about 1 year since, I wouldn't say a year, it's been around that long since I made the Adba video, and I've just been busy with school, as you can see, really busy, and I wasn't really sure if I wanted to, keep doing this stuff, but I guess here I am, making the Yunan video, which I promised I would make right after the Adba one. Well, to be fair, it is after the Adba one, but not right away. Anyway, as it was in the previous video, I'm going to be going over, there are time codes which should be showing on the screen. I'll be going over his personality with maybe some minor history, his plot with some history, his relationship with other characters, his strengths and abilities, character development, and, maybe some bloopers. Probably not. I probably won't add that. Last time I added that. But I'm going to be sure not to mess up any words this time. So, yeah, let's just get right into it. His personality, well, Yunan, first of all, is actually my favourite character in all of Magi. Second, no, he's not second to anyone, but the second is Arba, which is why I'm actually making my first two on them. Sometimes Arba is my favourite, but sometimes Yunan, number one is usually between those two. Usually depends on, when I'm rereading Magi, I'm like, wow, Yunan is crazy, or Arba is always crazy. But Yunan himself is a very, I guess, cheerful, kind, and happy character. I wouldn't say happy, but his outward expression is happy. He is the type of person that you would run into, and you'd be like, oh, it's Yunan. What a nice guy, what a great guy. I can't wait to, talk to him, be friends with him. He's very friendly, he's very kind, he's just a very open person. That's just who he is. Now that's his personality in general, and even when he's not happy or sad or kind, even when he's down, when he's sad, he still shows this kindness, this calm expression on him, even though there are times when he doesn't, but that is what he usually does show. There are times when I don't think we've seen him angry. We have seen him, a bit annoyed, or we have seen him annoyed a lot of times, but we've never seen him enraged, is what I'm trying to say. I think the most we would have ever gone was when he was fighting Arba, which I have to say, that is my favorite fight in the entire series. Yunan versus Arba. I mean, hey, my two favorite characters, and it was a really crazy fight. So, if it's not, it's gonna be in your top 10, top 5, at least top 5, Magi fights. But that was, I would guess we saw him, he was angry. I think he was more pissed off, but we've never seen him enraged. We have seen him in despair quite a lot of times, and in grief, in sorrow, and in regret, because he has lived quite a long time. So these moments were when Ali Baba was revived, and before Ali Baba left, he asked Ali Baba, Sinbad is a good guy deep down inside. He looked a bit sad. He looks sad whenever Sinbad is around. He is sad when he sees Sinbad, to see what Sinbad has become, just a little bit. He is kind of sad. And when he was fighting Arba, and Arba said she was going to throw him into, the darkness, depravity, and, make his roh black. I think he was terrified. There's a panel, one of my favorite Magi panels. I'm going to put it up right now. I'm sure I've already put it up. And that face he makes is just in despair. I mean, Yunan is incredibly strong. He has lived, 8, 9 lifetimes? I'm not too sure, but I know he's lived over 100, 200 years. He's lived quite a long time. He's gone through quite a lot of cycles. But compared to Arba, who is just so old, she is from because if you didn't watch my Arba video, I do go a lot into Arba. I did a lot more research for that video because, at the time I had more time then. For now, I don't have that much time. I'm just going off of what I know, but I do read Magi a lot, so I do know quite a lot. But I'm not 100% as I was on Arba's video, but I do know Yunan has been resurrected at least, I think, 8 times. He's lived 100, 200, maybe even more. He's lived quite a long time. But compared to Arba, he was nothing. Well, he wasn't nothing. He did kind of tear her skin off, He hit him with the lightning, and she did get hurt, but it's Arba. She's just broken. I mean, come on. You can't say Yunan's weak. The amount of spells he knows, and the amount of, I believe it was like combinations or commands that you set into spells, something he taught Aladdin, is crazy. I mean, he goes into just so many combinations so fast. He is a great magician. I would argue there is no metal vessel user that could take him down. maybe I wouldn't even say Sinbad. Maybe there are some exceptions that could counter him, but I just don't see any of them taking him down. Especially the fight he put up with Arba. This crazy fight. It was a very, very crazy fight. I do not see any of them being able to take him down. I'm kind of getting into his strength and abilities. I'll just stop here for that, because that fight was really nice. Yeah, I should be talking about his personality, shouldn't I? Yeah, but those are the only times we see him in despair. That's what I was going to. That's why I started this whole thing off, this tangent. But yeah, usually he's calm, he's collected, he's very kind to everyone, even to those who, well, like people who he doesn't like. He's still very calm, very kind. And there are times when he is scared. I think he was scared of Judar or Judal, whichever you want to say, when he appeared in it was after the flashback arc, the flashback for the Almatoran arc, and then we see Judar appears, and Yunan is actually a bit, I wouldn't say he's scared, but he is a bit shaken up, and everyone notices this, and everyone's curious, like, how is Yunan shaken up? This guy must be much stronger than before, and he was, and Yunan could sense that. But usually, he is in a lot of joke scenes, because Magi, is pretty funny, I can't lie. Magi is one of the few manga which I genuinely do sometimes. I laugh. I actually do laugh from it, which is really rare from a manga as well. It's really rare to laugh off a manga. So it's very good that aspect. And he's pretty funny, especially with Sinbad. A lot of joke scenes. I'll try to throw up a picture of him, hopefully now, but if not, somewhere throughout the video, I'll throw up a picture of him crying, doing like a joke crying scene. It's just a really funny character in general, and a lot of great scenes. The mangaka, she knows what she's doing of Yunan. Now, the plot, I guess I would start with, and the history, I guess I would start with Sinbad's adventure, because canonically, that's where it really does take place. That's when his first appearance. So I'll be starting with that. Well, first, even before Sinbad was around, when Sinbad was born, so he was around, that is when we first really, I guess, see him. I guess that's his first appearance as far back as we can go. Also, I just confirmed, yes, it's his 9th life. He's been reborn 8 times. I was right on that. Just to make sure, so you guys know, yeah, that is true. But his first appearance was when Sinbad was born. Everyone in the world, well, at least the strong characters, and all the Magi could sense, like, wow, something insane just happened. Like, a miracle. That's what Yunan called it. He called it a miracle. Just happened, and this being, just this being, I guess, this entity was born with just raw, and he was someone that could, I guess, not defy destiny, but he wasn't fully controlled by destiny. I think that's how Arba put it, and I'm not really sure if that was 100% confirmed, but that's what Arba believes, and I guess that's true, because he did go to the Sacred Palace. He wasn't affected by destiny, even though destiny wasn't really around, and he took over and became, well, quote-unquote God. Sinbad, that's what Sinbad did. So yeah, Sinbad, a very special being. Yunan had great interest in him in the beginning. He does kind of lead him to the dungeon and kind of push him that way to the Bile dungeon. I just messed that word up. Dungeon. And, he transforms into a kid, and he kind of, Sinbad rescues him, and he sees what type of a character he is. He judges him off that, and he says, oh, you should go and conquer this dungeon. And I believe Yunan is the one who, most of the dungeons we see throughout the world, Yunan is the one who sprung them up, or brought them about. Because when Magi starts, it's from the main Magi timeline, so when Alibaba and Aladdin are introduced. From that timeline, dungeons were still relatively new. Even from Sinbad's time, they're still kind of new, at least that's how I think it was perceived, or how it was said to be. Dungeons, not really anyone had captured many of them at the time. It was still kind of a new thing when Sinbad was around. So Yunan was the one, springing them up and bringing them about, and he guided Sinbad to that one. And I wouldn't say he's Sinbad's Magi. I wouldn't say that. He definitely isn't, but he does take a great interest in Sinbad, and I think he wanted to be, but when he saw how Sinbad changed, he decided maybe not, because he is the Magi of the Great Rift. It's kind of weird, because in the Almatoran arc in the flashback, Hugo says, Hugo, however you want to pronounce it, he says that we need to create this Magi system so they can choose a king, and that king can be righteous. But I guess Yunan never really chose a king, or at least from his ninth life, we never saw him choose a king. I guess I would say 8th life, because he looks so young. Maybe it's 9th, 8th. He makes himself look young. I guess it's his 9th. But that's why I'm so unsure on his age, because even if it's his 9th life, for example, he could have lived this life maybe 100 years. He could be 102 in this current life cycle, but he's using magic to make himself look older. I mean, younger, sorry. I mean, anything's possible. He could be 1,000 years old, or he could be not even 200. It's never really said, but he has lived 9 lives, but, however long he's lived them, I guess that is for you to decide, because nowhere I see, it doesn't actually say how old he is. Maybe in a data book, or maybe it has been said, but, I haven't done too much research, too deep into this, because I don't really have that much time because of school. But, yeah, how old he is, at least 200 plus, maybe 600, 700, possibly 1,000. 9 life cycles, yeah, that's for you to decide, I think. Throughout the story, he reoccurs a lot, and I mean a lot. Like, once he's first introduced in the story, he keeps occurring again and again and again in every arc, in a very minor way, but in a very impactful way, I think. And he has a very, very touching moment with, I believe it's Sinbad's mother, at least from what I'm remembering, because this is going completely off memory. And it's very touching, because she tells him, if I ever die, I want you to look after or guide Sinbad. And it was just because he did have a big involvement of Sinbad leaving and Sinbad becoming who he is, because I believe Sinbad was always destined for it. Destiny, destined, big word in Magi. But he did guide him. He did as his mother wished. I believe he would have done so anyway. He really did guide him to become who Sinbad is. So the first time I guess we actually see him, besides he's talked about quite a lot before we actually do see him, because we do know there are 3 Magi and Sinbad and other characters that say, Yunan. They bring up his name a couple times, but the first time we see him, I believe, we actually do see him. I believe it is when Morgiana meets him, which is pretty interesting. Those two, it's quite strange. It's a good combination of characters, character interaction, that's the word I was looking for. So what happens is, Morgiana, when the crew, by crew I mean Alibaba and Aladdin, split, because they all have these goals, they always split and come back, which I think is really cool, because they can all have their own arcs, which, it's really interesting, I'm not going to get into that right now, I'm going to focus on this, sorry about that. But she meets him, and she tells him, Yunan starts it off. Yunan says, welcome, Morgiana. And Morgiana asks, how do you know my name? And Yunan's like, I know everything. I hear stuff. I can hear everything that goes on. Which, I'm a bit curious what type of magic he uses to hear everything. I believe he doesn't mean he hears everything. I mean, maybe he does. Maybe he just stays in the rift, and he actually has a magic that allows him to hear things. But knowing Yunan, he probably has some high-level teleportation spells to go around and see what's going on. Either way, somehow, he knows Morgiana. Maybe he's watching Aladdin. I believe he may have been interested in Aladdin. But, he just knows Morgiana somehow, and from what he says, he hears everything, so he knows her, and he offers her some tea. There's actually a really interesting fact about Yunan, which is, it's always brought up in the story whenever characters go to his hut, I guess, in the valley, in the bridge between the Dark Continent and the real world, in his little hut. He's always cooking food and making tea and such for people. And there's actually a fact which I read in, I think it was a data book, someone commented, and I actually did check it was true, in a fact book, that that's his hobby. His main hobby is cooking, which it's pretty interesting. I guess it's a little random. It's pretty interesting. So there's that, and he's worried that Morgiana might not like the tea. So that's always, I guess, fun to see, those little hobbies like that. So yeah, I guess his main hobbies are that, and that is what he does then. And then he talks to Morgiana about what's on the other side, because Morgiana wants to see the finalists. and he tells her, yeah, they're on the other side, but um, there's something happening in the Co-Empire, and the Emperor is dead for the Co-Empire. And he also does explain, I don't remember if he tells her specifically that if you go to the Dark Continent you'll transform, or you can just go and I'll pull you back. But Morgiana does go, she kind of begins to transform. I'm not really too sure on that. But she doesn't end up fully going to the Dark Continent, and she does go back to the Co-Empire. And Yunan does tell him the finalists are on the other side. And when everyone's fighting the medium, the just beast that was the medium, and they barely took him out. I believe they had to use, Aladdin had to use the Talk no Jutsu to defeat him. Crazy monster, just crazy. I mean, how many male vessel users were there? There was at least 10 plus. There was so many, and they could not take this thing down. Yeah, Yunan did appear at the end once they defeated it, and, I think he was a bit relieved, because if they could not defeat it, there is no way Yunan would have defeated that thing. It would have just ended the world if they could not have defeated it. So yeah, he was a bit relieved that life did not end on this world like it did in Almatoran, in the other world. So there was that. He does have a little banter back and forth between Sinbad. There's those joke moments. He helps Morgiana out then. Helps her out with her household vessel. He's like, just giving her tips, telling her what not to do and what to do. I guess, doing this overview on his whole story and his character and his plot, he seems to interact with Morgiana a lot and guide her a lot, which I think is pretty cool. Then there's the Balbad. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I didn't mispronounce it. Balbad arc, and this is the other Balbad arc. Not the first one. This is actually the second one. And here is when I think we really get a very, very deeper dive on Yunan's character. If we didn't already, it was probably this one where he talks to Aladdin and he kind of guides him, talks to him, Magi to Magi. And there is a very, very funny moment here between, I wouldn't say it's funny, it's pretty funny. It's between Sinbad and Yunan. Sinbad is eavesdropping on their conversation with Aladdin and Yunan. And then Yunan is like, oh, you shouldn't do that. And then he makes his own space where him and Aladdin can talk. And at this moment, we really kind of see, this guy is very, very powerful. We knew he was powerful since he was a Magi, but we kind of see just the level of strength he is at. Because he's just talking about things like combinations of magic and, just saying orders. And the things he's doing, it's crazy, the things we see him do. Yeah, and there's a joke like Sinbad says, oh, he's a villain, you don't trust him. And there's a very sad moment here where he says he doesn't trust Sinbad that much. I think he's a bit sad because of that, because he does like Sinbad. He really wants Sinbad to be that king that the Magi have been looking for. But it saddens him when he says that, and even Sinbad says, oh, Yunan's not a good guy, such and such. And I think that's why I say that it's a joke scene, but at the same time it's a bit saddening for Yunan. I think it really is whenever he thinks about it like that. So I feel a bit bad. And then in the final arc, I guess, when Alibaba is revived, what actually happens is they give Alibaba's body to Yunan to preserve. Why they did this, I'm not too sure. I guess Aladdin just knew he would come back. He had a feeling, Alibaba will return somehow. So, what he does is he preserves his body in magic, Alibaba's body, but Alibaba, his muscles and all that stuff, he's just skin and bones. And when I mean skin and bones, hopefully you see the picture up on the screen, he is really, really just skin and bones. Like, god damn, Alibaba. He kept him alive, but I guess there was limits to what he could do, I guess, clearly. But Alibaba was alive nonetheless, which I guess is a miracle, and it just shows Yunan was able to preserve a body, because Alibaba was alive, quote unquote. His body was alive, his body was still functioning, his heart was beating, his blood was running, but there was no soul, or I'm not really exactly too sure, but it was like his essence, the thing that makes the person, the rot, it was all gone. So he was able to preserve the body in that state just through magic, which is very impressive. So his body was still doing all its functions, and when Alibaba came back, Yunan was informing him on what happened in the 2 years that he was gone, and he was training him up, doing push-ups, he was sitting on his back, he was feeding him, he was informing him all this, he was taking care of him. And I think it was pretty nice for Yunan. He's the guardian of the rift, the Great Rift, and I imagine he does get very, very lonely. And he, talking to Alibaba, having Alibaba around for so long, it must have been nice, I guess, training him up. So there's that. And then when Alibaba leaves, that's when he tells him, oh, Sinbad's a nice guy, and Alibaba tells him, don't worry. And then beside explaining all of the things that happened, the Aladdin going missing, and some metal vessel users going rogue, Sinbad doing all this crazy stuff, after that he has his fight with Arba, and I believe this is the last major thing he does. He just has this fight. I will get into it in his strength and abilities, but he has the fight of fights, and this is why I want another season of Magi. I just want to see this fight animated so badly. But yeah, he just goes in and he loses, but he doesn't go down that easy. Arba is, I would say she's hurt, but it's Arba. She's just broken. She can heal anything. And considering he's one man, and Arba just how powerful she is, I think he did it very, very well. Yeah, maybe I'm not being biased. I mean, he did do very well. And then Aladdin, of course, saved his ass. Yeah, I almost said a word that I shouldn't use on this platform anymore. The way this platform is now, I shouldn't be using certain words, which sucks. But yeah, Aladdin saved him, and that was that. Him and Morgiana came in, then they started taking care of business with Arba, and I believe that's the last major thing he really does. And then we do see him later on in the arc. He appears, a couple more times, but that was the last major thing he did. He does have some dialogues after that. I think he has some dialogues, but that's really it for his plot, I guess, and his history for the story. His relationship with other characters I'll get into briefly, because I actually talked about that more so throughout the other parts, which I guess the structure is kind of messed up. But with Sinbad, as I said before, he liked Sinbad before, he saw him as a miracle, and he doesn't really like him too much now. He doesn't trust him, maybe that's the right word. But till the very end, he did believe in Sinbad. I told Alibaba, oh, Sinbad, deep down, he's a good guy. So yeah, he thought if that was Sinbad. He's very good friends in general with the other characters. He's very, very friendly with them. He's a very, positive person. Alibaba, Aladdin. Beside Arba, I mean, there's not many people that hate him. And if they do, I guess they just hate people in general. But yeah, he doesn't have that many enemies. And his relationship with other characters, I've gone into it with Morgiana, how he did help her. And he helped Aladdin, he helped Alibaba. I guess he guided, because he is the guide. That's what he's known as. He's the guide. He guided Sinbad. He guides the characters. He becomes very good friends with them. But that's really it as his relationship with them, the main three and Sinbad, which is really interesting. All four of them were guided and helped. They were helped a lot by Yunan. Now for his abilities, I guess to start off with, he carries, his wand, which I really like. His staff looks really cool, considering he's been around for so long, 9 lives, and who knows how long those lives lasted. I mean, it could be like he dies, 1 life lasts 5 years, maybe in the other life, another life lasts maybe, who knows, 200 years, somehow he preserves his body. I'm not really too sure, but the abilities that he's shown, or the magic, first of all, because he is a Magi, he has limitless Raw, which is just crazy, just to begin with, because Magi, they're just broken. I mean, once you're a Magi and you can utilize your power, as we've seen with Judar, with Arba, I think Arba shows it the most, just how broken a Magi can be. And Aladdin, end of series Aladdin is beyond broken. I mean, you could take 10 metal vessel users, I don't think they would be able to stop end of series Aladdin. Or Arba at that. They're just too broken. Unless you use some, have another Magi, like the way they beat Arba was because there was another Magi who had the knowledge and various magics, and also has limitless Raw. And even then, they beat her by luck, and she didn't really lose. So there's that. Beside having just infinite, really, Roh and Maho. He can just create dungeons from whenever he wants. That I don't really understand, because if he can create dungeons, I guess only the current Magi would know how to do that, because even then, it's not really said that the Magi have to be the ones to create it. I mean, maybe Ugo said that, but then why can't Judal or Aladdin create dungeons? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I mean, because think about it, I would understand why Arba doesn't know. Even though she's a Magi from another time, so this knowledge wouldn't be given to her. But, say Judal or maybe Aladdin, wouldn't they be told how to raise dungeons? Why does Yunan know this? Did Ugo, I guess Ugo especially just specifically told Yunan that maybe you need to do this? That I'm not too sure, because it is kind of stated that the Magi do this, but at the same time Yunan is the only one who does. Because if you think that I mean, there was a time when Judal, I think he raised a dungeon. I think I'm not really too sure, but either way, just being able to raise dungeons is just crazy. The fact that he can do that. He has shown he's able to do Bararak Saika, which is Sinbad's move that destroyed mountains. If you remember in the Sinbad's Adventures, when he just wiped out multiple mountains. Yeah, Yunan can do that casually as well, and because he has infinite Roh and Maho as well. You see, I'm not too sure, because that's just broken if you have infinite amount. But because he has so much, yeah, he can probably do that as many times as he did in the fight with Arba, and he even destroyed her. But obviously, Arba being Arba, she didn't really care that it destroyed her body. But yeah, it was able to penetrate Arba's Borg, and it roasted her skin off. Like when you see her as a skeleton, that was crazy. Anyone else beside Arba, that would have killed. And it's just unfair. Like, saying he's weak or he's not that strong because he lost to Arba, that's just ridiculous. He's shown gravity magic, he's shown and his hearing as well. Because as I said in the beginning of the video, I wasn't sure if he really meant he could hear everything, but there are times when, like, how did he know that Sinbad was listening in on the conversation? Because I'm looking it up right now, and it says that it's because of his hearing that Yunan was able to perceive or know that Sinbad was listening in, but it's not really confirmed that it was because of his hearing. But I guess if you want to say whether or not it's his hearing, yeah, he has broken hearing, I guess, its range is kilometers? No, not even kilometers. It's just like he can worldly or continental, his hearing range. I guess if you want to say it's his hearing, which is ridiculous. But knowing he's a Magi and he's been around for so long, I wouldn't really be surprised. His Borg, it was very powerful. It was very powerful. Like the amount of magic he can do, and he's also able to use magic that I don't really know how to say this. It shows memories from someone else. Him and Aladdin actually teamed up to show everyone the memories of Aladdin and the history of Al-Matoran. Yeah, Yunan helped Aladdin do that. I know he's been around for so long and he's done so much, and he's gone to the Dark Continent, I guess. He definitely has, because he knows the finalists are there. And he knows information about Al-Matoran as well, a lot from the past place. So he's just, in general, an incredibly powerful character. No Metal Vessel user, or multiple Metal Vessel users, probably would not be able to take him down. You need 10 plus to take this guy down. He is just on another level. Or at least someone like Adva, or in the series Aladdin. Yeah, you need someone like that. And I would get into his character development, but there is no development. I mean, he is, from the beginning to the end, the Yunan that we see at the beginning is the Yunan we see at the end. He has lived through so many lives and so many experiences. He is already developed. He is already who he is by the time we see him. He's a very cheerful, happy character. He's a bit worried, anxious at times, especially in such certain situations. and more so at the end, he gets very, very anxious and sometimes scared when he fought Arba. He wouldn't be. But that's not really his character developing or changing. That's just him reacting to a situation. By the end of the series, maybe he's changed a bit, especially because of what happens at the end of the series, but his character really stays the same, you know? And, yeah, I guess this video was actually a bit longer than Arba's, but it is what it is. It's relatively the same length, and, yeah, I would say I won't make any promises on when I'll put out the next one, but because of school, and it's a lot of work, especially for these 30-minute videos, because I have to edit it, make the thumbnail, edit, just do a bunch of stuff, and find all these pictures to throw up on the screen. It's a lot of work, but, the last video, the Audible one, I was not expecting that much support from it, and, especially from the comments, a lot of people were like, this is the type of content I was looking for before, or I wish this was around before, or they were very happy to see Magi getting a video like this, and I guess it's because of those comments, I'll be like, you know what, I'll make another video, since I'm glad the Magi community is still fairly strong, especially considering the anime has not gotten another season announced in years, which is unfortunate, and the manga ended a very long time ago, but I'm very glad the community's still around. And it really sucks that there's no one else doing videos like these, but I guess it's not really surprising considering the community is pretty dead, because there's no more manga to cover and there's no anime, so there's nothing really to talk about. But nonetheless, I will hopefully make another video. Considering this is the second Magi video I've made on the Magi, I guess the next one, I guess I should make another one on another Magi. Who will be? I'm thinking Shiba. I really, really found her character interesting. Maybe Aladdin, maybe Jadal. I'm not too sure, but I really want to do Shiba. Because, yeah, she was the Magi of Almaturan, a Magi of the past. And, yeah, I guess that would mean I would have... How many videos would I have? I would have 3 from the past, 3 from the current, and I guess, no, Aladdin's from the past, so 4 from... I'd have 7 videos on 7 Magi to make if I continue doing this trend of making a video on a Magi each time. So yeah, I guess that's that. If you did enjoy the video, support is appreciated, but yeah, hope you enjoyed, and that's Yunan, the best character in Magi. Maybe second to Arba. I would take Arba being the best, it's one of the two, but yeah, thanks for watching.